You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader, like that car riding your tail. Or if you're tailgating right now, all those cars doubling as kitchens and living rooms are on AutoTrader too. Are you working out and listening to this ad at the same time? Well, multitasking pro, cars like the ones in the gym parking lot are for sale on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Do you have a point of sale system you can trust, or is it a real POS? You need Shopify for retail. From accepting payments to managing inventory, Shopify POS has everything you need to sell in person. Go to shopify.com/system, all lowercase, to take your retail business to the next level today. That's shopify.com/system.
Before we begin this program, I just want to thank our members of Wall Plus. You all make this possible. Thank you so much for being a part of our Patreon, and everybody can go join at wearelibertarians.com/support. But we want to thank, first and foremost, our $100 a month members. That is John Pusilo, 7th from the Discord. You can join the Discord at wearelibertarians.com. Casey Feldposh, Matthew Durbin, Jeff Bennett, Reinhold, Christy Avery, Jason Doolittle, and Ed Brehab. Thank you all so much for being supporters, and thanks to everyone who subscribes to Wall Plus. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians podcast network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com.
Welcome. Tonight we're going to talk about how to build a podcast. My name is Chris Spangle, and I'm talking to my friend Aja. Do you like your last name out there? I don't want to put that out there without...
I'll just go by Aja right now. We'll maybe hit it with I got the hyphenated last name, so we're not trying to confuse people out in these streets.
Yeah, all right. You never know because I didn't ask beforehand, and it's one of those things where some people, I don't want my job to know that I'm also full
I'm
metal
very lucky.
ratchet.
My job is supportive.
Cool.
Very supportive of my talks. Yeah.
Do I sound better or worse with my AirPods in?
Yeah, you sound good. You sound perfect.
Okay. So just a little bit about my background, and then Aja can tell you a little bit about her. And we're taking your questions on how to build a podcast brand. So I've been podcasting since 2007, and I started at an AM radio station in 2004. And when podcasting hit the directory, I was hooked, and I was pushing my bosses from like day one to start doing a podcast, and then started my own. I did podcasting for work, and then started my own podcasting in 2012, and that's We Are Libertarians, now the Chris Spangle Show, and that's got over 4 million downloads. And I work for the Bob and Tom Show, which is a nationally syndicated radio show, and because of that, I've uploaded around 20,000 podcasts, and audio and video edit all day long, and I also co-host the Pat Down and produce that, and that's how Aja and I met.
Yes.
And you and I have talked before about some podcast stuff, and when I was thinking about doing this idea, I was like, well, she's the person I want to talk to, because since our conversation, you've done such a great job of kind of building your stuff, and I figured you had more questions, but tell them what you're doing.
So, hi everyone, my name is Aja. I'm from Ohio. I am a TikToker, and I've recently moved over to IG Reels. I do reaction videos, so there's a function on TikTok, if you are on TikTok yourself, that it's called the duet function, where you can basically react to other content, and Ratchet Reactions was born. I think the pandemic opened up a lot of free time and a sense of maybe exploration, and a sense of kind of just screw it, let's just try something. So I was listening to the Pat Down all the time, Chris, all the time, and just living for Tuesdays because, it was just something to define the week, and something to have, like, at least feel like some kind of human interaction, because I'm living here with my family, but pretty much by ourselves here, locked down. And So I started making these TikTok videos when I started working from home back in March. And I was lucky enough during the this whole situation to not lose my job. So in between, working from home, I started doing TikTok a little bit before the pandemic started, because I wanted to lose a little weight and I wanted to be.
Wait, wait, is
Mhm.
TikTok like Noom and I don't know about it, or like why lose
You know
weight?
what? But you know what? Children can be very motivating when they ask you if you're pregnant all the time. So you
Oh,
know what? You gotta
yeah, but
just.
like I went to Orange Theory today. I went to it like
Oh, snap! You an orange
why
theory too?
TikTok? Because of the dancing?
Well, you know what? TikTok, I just, sometimes you just wonder what to do. I was playing The Sims and stuff. I was like, what am I even doing with my life? Let me just download this app since I don't have nothing to do.
Yeah.
And so I started doing like little short videos like that. Then I started uploading them on Facebook, and my coworkers actually, um, they were like, keep doing them. We like them. So I figured out the duet function and things like that. And that's how my whole TikTok um, space creation began. And it really just blew up from there. I had no, I don't know why that app specifically. I just wanted to try. And then it just became really dramatic because of Trump and the band and then the not band and then the kind of edging, just the whole world, and then the whole what was the rally, the kids trolling. So we find out TikTok has this crazy power to connect people and even affect political, outcomes and things like that. So it's just like it became this crazy part of our lives, inadvertently.
Yeah, all of these social tools have been so important. And I think the thing that I'm always kind of confronted with and reminded of as I talk to like the Bob and Tom audience, the libertarian audience, the Pat Down audience, is that people are lonelier than I think they let on.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And that was before the pandemic, and now that we've kind of hit the pandemic, people are relying on digital content in a way that they didn't, and social interaction online, which is partly why I think everything was so intense through the election. It's kind of calmed down, and everybody's having a little more fun and a little nicer now that they've, had pumpkin pie with their family and
exactly
family gatherings of 700. But
figured out how the Zoom works.
Right, yeah. Oh man. Try explaining in 2013 to 75-year-old economics professors how Zoom worked, and it just was impossible. I'm so glad everybody knows Zoom now. But what I want to do tonight is take questions. So if you tap the little comment button with the triangle in the middle there, you can leave a question. We're taking your questions. If you're interested in starting a podcast or creating your own brand on a social channel like TikTok or a YouTube channel or a podcast or anything in social media, new media, leave us a question. We'd love to answer it. And make sure you go follow Full Metal Ratchet on pretty much everything. Full Metal
pretty
Ratchet.
Pretty much everything. All one word. FULLMETAL or no. Oh my gosh. RATCHET. Almost had it.
So I don't know anything about TikTok, and work came to me and said, "Hey, we should try that this week." And I'm like, "Man, I need to reach out to Aja because I don't know anything about it. It seems confusing to me. It's got a lot of cool tools. Like
it's got great editing tools.
It's
got a great editing
to you.
Oh yeah.
To it.
So basically, like the editing interface is great for if you want to do scenarios, if you want to do reactions like I do. And then there's a lot of, it's sound based. So it started out, as dancing mostly, and then also, what's it called? Mimicry. So, voiceovers and things like that. So that's funny, unless, if you have a specific movie or if you have a joke, want to miss, I feel like what would be great for the Pat Down would be if somebody would go back and just do little clips of some of your funniest moments during the Pat Down, because some of the, and reenact them, The ones that some of the earlier ones before you had the video, especially with Garyana talking, just
Oh my
coming
gosh.
in and just, you know what I'm saying? She got the big head wrap. I imagine she got a big sweater on or something like that, just coming in, quipping and leaving, you know, hitting her high.
She's
And
such a sniper. It's so
she
funny.
just comes in, just annihilates, just pew. So I think that would be something funny for the Pat Downs. For Bob and Tom, I'm not sure the flow of that show specifically, but that would be a good thing to maybe start out doing old episodes or something like that. The funnier, 30 to 60 seconds. It's a 15 to 60-second app, and you basically will record whatever voiceover, whatever sound to
Yeah,
whatever video match.
that's a great idea, because there's 65 albums. Like, this is a radio Hall of Fame show,
Right.
106 stations, like 64 comedy records with a ton of bits. Like, people could reenact the bits. That's a great idea.
Yeah, if you get the sounds on there, like the clip, clip out the funnier, like I said, funnier 30 to 16, 15, 30 seconds, people will act them out. People will, impersonate them because they're fans of the show. And that's definitely something I can see with Pat Down and probably Bob and Tom too.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
So, like, what questions do you have? When we talked,
I wrote them
you
down.
were kind of just starting out, a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. You had a lot of thoughts. You seem to have, like, really dialed it in. And, like, since we talked like 3 months ago, I've been
Mm-hmm.
impressed with, like, the way that you've changed everything, and like, like, talk about
Oh, thanks.
what you're starting, what your goals are, what you're doing.
So like I said, content is reaction based. So I want to get to a point, and it's kind of gotten to a point where people are starting to send me funny videos that they feel like they want me to react to. My goal is, I will say, the most kind compliments that I get are when people feel like I'm watching with them, that we're friends and we're just watching TikTok together. That's the whole feeling, the whole vibe of the show. People that don't know TikTok videos and might be, nervous to maybe let their kid on there, or want to know just what kind of content is out there on that app specifically, because it is kind of controversial out of nowhere. I feel like I want to be that. Maybe I'll just be your friend, that vessel, if you want to explore the app and you see, there are some very, very funny, very talented people, very informative, wholesome, things like that. So that's what I want to do, just to be that, guide, and the wholesome Wendy Williams, I guess, if you want
You
to
are
say.
very wholesome. I said that to Dion
I
the
try
other
to
day.
do
I
the
go,
wholesome thing.
she
Yeah.
is so wholesome. And
I try to be wholesome. I know that I have a lot of people from my family and my friends' family and, colleagues and everything. I want to, to be a funny show, but something that is, you can watch with obviously your kids and stuff like that. Started captioning them recently as well, a couple days ago. So that's opened up a big audience as well. I made sure that my ADA folk are taken care of.
so, like, what's your ultimate goal? What do you want to do?
I guess the sky's the limit right now. We are on IG Reels. We're building up Instagram. I think now I'm thinking about moving to Twitch, and doing some longer reactions, maybe to TV shows or movies. I've seen that Twitch has a partnership with Amazon Prime, where you can, react to movies like that and have folks,
So,
just watch.
so is this like a whole industry? Like, I don't know
I
anything
think
about, like,
so,
video
yeah.
Like, Twitch is another blind spot of mine, and, like, I'm just amazed at the amount of subcultures that are there that I don't understand. So, are reaction videos, like, what you're doing? Like, you're the first person that I've kind of seen do it, and do it consistently and do it well. Like, is this a whole thing that I just didn't know existed?
I think it's more ingrained into our society than we think. I mean, if you really think about what you're doing as well, Chris, you are reacting. You're giving your opinion, you're providing commentary, but you're also reacting. So
Right.
just because you're not doing a cut side by side of of a political article or a video or something like that, you're still reacting to content. So I think mine is very overt, but I think I've seen a lot of things grow from just simple reactions. Twitch is this huge platform, and I didn't even understand the magnitude of it until I started seeing it. Younger people, they seem to want to see a certain person do something well, and maybe I react well, so they want to see a person do something well. If they can't do it themselves, and of course there's going to be people like, why are you reacting, you add nothing to the video. Okay, maybe in your opinion I don't add anything to the video. That's okay. I've gotten over that kind of critique, because at first I was a little insecure, like, what am I even doing, do I even need to react to this? But I have realized, and what the critiques and compliments have let me know, is that, like you said earlier, we are living in a more, socially isolated society. People are reaching out in all kinds of ways, and it's getting to the point where, we are finding friendships, we are finding relationships and comfort in watching people react to things. And so I think there's that subculture of that where maybe, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, people can leave a comment and we'll answer your questions. If you're thinking about getting into stuff like this, then we'll take your questions here on the Stereo app. Just press that little message button. Let me see if, so that's the thing that I have always struggled with. And I'm like way down the road on all this stuff. Like I consistently, like, I make money and draw paychecks from doing the thing that I wanted to do when I was like 8 years old. Like the thing that when I was sitting in high school, like, man, it'd be so much fun to edit videos and talk for a living.
Right.
Like, I still every single day don't consider myself a professional, or like, I still have that thing like, one day I'm going to make it. I think that is, and every person that I have ever worked with in any creative field still has that thing. And the people that don't have that thing, where they just know they're awesome, are usually the people that you don't want to be around. There's just something that I think God gives us, the people that create content, like, to keep you humble when a lot of people are talking at you. I'm going to make sure that the voice inside your own head says you don't deserve it. And I think that's the hardest thing. Like, when I started We Are Libertarians in 2012, I'm sitting here going, why should I be considered a political commentator, a political writer, a political anything? Like, I'm like, who am I? And my friend said, well, you're the executive director of the Libertarian Party of Indiana. You've worked on political campaigns and in political media for 8 years now. You've started at more
and you started that
organizations
Tea Party.
I started the Tea Party single-handedly. Like, and they go, if you're not qualified, like, maybe you're not like running a presidential campaign, but there are a lot of people out there who might want to hear your opinion because you do know what you're talking about. Now, the funny thing is that as I have gained more knowledge and expertise, society has lessened its value on experts in any field, especially politics. So it's a much harder slog to be taken seriously, but they're nothing compared to the voice inside my own head, where I'm like, one day you'll achieve the goal that you have in your head, where, like, some days you have to stop and go, I'm doing okay, and so I had that thing when I started my thing too. And I think that's the first psychological thing that people have to get past when they want to start something like a podcast, or they want to create a social brand like you have with Full Metal Ratchet, or they want to start a business, or they want to start anything. Like, the imposter syndrome and that mental block of, who am I to do this thing and say this out loud and create this, that vulnerability that it inherently just keeps people from acting. And that's
Yes.
that's the biggest killer for content. And that's the biggest struggle that never goes away. I think Miss Pat is the funniest person on the planet, and I see
I
her
really
struggle
do
with
too.
that too. Yeah, like and
Which is
it just
almost like impossible for me to even rationalize, because that was my question to
right.
her. I don't know if you were able to answer it, but it was going to be, how do you is stand up even with, women like her, like some more people like Bill Burr in that field? Is it even worth someone like me to even try to enter the space?
Yeah. No, I think
You
so.
just don't
You
even
you
feel
should
worthy.
ask her, because I want her to give your opinion. But like, part of the reason I wanted to have you on is just to give you exposure, because I think you're funny, entertaining, and doing a good job, and like, more people should know about you. And that's the currency that matters. It's not, are you at
Thank you.
Miss Pat's level, because she's 20 years ahead of you. She's got
Oh, Carl, yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, and I struggle sitting in the room with Pat and Dion, because they're so funny and they're so good at like certain skills that I'm not, where like sometimes if they come to me, I'll freeze. But like, if they're mid conversation, I think of something that I'm good reacting to their conversation. But if they come to me for conversation, I instantly become the most boring person. And like,
She fell
but
asleep.
right, but like, I
Oh,
know. And then like Dion, I was like, "How's your day, Dion?" He's like, I got way into battle rap." And then
that was
they're
hilarious. I'm
very,
sorry, I heard that. Yeah, that's
yeah, they're just
awesome.
very interesting people. So even sitting in that room, I'm sitting there going, "Man, I just don't even measure up," But it's all a matter of
It wouldn't be
perspective.
the same without that balance, Chris. It would not.
Ye-
As a person, as a listener, there would not be. I've heard the episode, every single one. I'm a crack baby. I pay for the extra episodes. I've listened to everything, and I will say that the episodes before Dion and after Dion, it's night and day, because you have that ability to balance differing opinions. Miss Pat yells at you, but it's almost like it's it's a chorus, a beautiful chorus of
yeah, I
of
bring a skill. I bring a skill set that they
yeah.
don't have, which is the radio
You bring
background.
a discipline, you bring a
Yeah,
definition, because there's you understand there is different levels of blackness now. That there's Miss Pat, and then there's me that went to private school in
yeah, but
Ohio. You know what I'm saying? We went to church. We didn't get molested. We chilling, watching SpongeBob SquarePants, and loving our moms. You know what I'm saying?
right.
We
Yeah, I
so
think it's the full range of
there's
the human.
it's a beautiful balance. It's a beautiful balance.
Yeah, and I think I just say that to say, like, I'm sure people who listen to the podcast go, "Wow, their chemistry is really good." But I think every creative person in the back of their mind, even when they're on a successful project, that like, we finish a podcast and we know it was good, or we finish a podcast and
Oh
we
yeah.
know it sucked. Every podcast I do, if it's the Chris Spangle show and I finish a podcast and we just did two of the most concise, crisp hours of like, you tune into the Electoral College episode, you're going to know everything about the Electoral College and how it relates, the history, the law, the process, how that relates to the current events happening now. And like, when we finished that, I knew we nailed it, and I was really proud of it. So
Good. Yeah.
it's, and the more of those you get under your belt where you go, I lived up to what I know is my skill set, the better it gets. And I'm sure, I don't know how long you've done this, but I'm sure as you've done this, you kind of finish some videos and you just go, I fucking nailed that. Like, I'm getting good at this.
Yeah, and I like to incorporate my family in them too. Excuse me, because people like to, especially my family that watches the videos, they like to see them, reacting to. They kind of don't get it. They they just want to kind of stare at the video, and they're like, you can say things and talk in words, and they're like, ah! But it's okay. I feel like that it's brought my family closer together. It really has. They see the discipline that I put into it. They see how I've tried to not just make this my my hobby, but to really try to make this into a career. I think my ultimate goal, Chris, with content creation is to get into this film space and somehow somehow find my niche in that. I don't know if it's in front of the camera all the time. I don't know if I want to deal with that kind of pressure to look a certain way, which I understand is the undercurrent of how it is. I don't think I have the energy to change that, and I'm okay with that. I can
Right.
challenge it as much as I have the energy to, but I know that I can create my own things, and that's what pretty much every creator from now on, no one's going to depend on the Hollywood system pretty much from now on. Because why? Feel me?
Yeah, no, I think you're totally right. Like, I think they're like, if you're going into radio, for
I
instance, I
respect
hate,
it. I love it as a medium and as a
yeah,
craft, but you know, it's we are now in a place where people can find are putting a really big middle finger up to that whole system and for good reason.
you have the ability to be yourself in a way that I don't, I mean, especially as a Black woman, you didn't have 20 years ago, you know? I mean,
Hmm.
there is a, uh, in any creative field, in any work, like I've watched it over the last 20 years become, well, you have to be this certain way. And like radio of all the industries is the biggest school of fish. Like one successful person goes this way, then the entire industry has to do that thing. Like it's worse
Mm,
than any other entertainment medium. And I have
yeah,
seen
okay.
podcasting kind of break that open a little bit and allow people to be themselves, but there's still underlying fundamental rules. Like when we talked, it's like you need more color, you need more contrast, you need more eye-catching like
Yeah,
backgrounds.
I
You need
remember that.
like there's stuff like that, but like there's the main goal now in digital media, and it's creeping into mainstream forms of entertainment, is we want to see Aja, and we want to know what makes Aja work. Like Miss Pat
Right.
is popular because people want to see what makes Miss Pat tick. Like people are inherently, that's one of the reasons that I think the Kardashians are so
Oh
picked
yeah.
on and despised. It's because it's plastic, it's unreachable, it's unattainable, it's not vulnerable, there's no openness. And when people are writing the history of media 200 years from now, they're going to look at a shift that we're living through from 2000 to 2030, where like those 20 to 30 years made vulnerability and openness and access a much bigger part for audiences than social proof and status and looking
Mm.
like, like Trump illustrates the old mindset of media very well, in that
Oh
you've got
yeah.
to be the biggest, you got to have the most gold, you've got to have the most flash, and
Hmm.
there is obviously appeal to that, or else he wouldn't have been elected president. And a big part of that is because he's famous, but like he's hated by people who are under 40 for the most part because they don't know where the guy really stands. Like it's a violation of the ethic that millennials and Gen Z are bringing to media now. So I think like in a position like yours, there's all those things where you think about the checklist of what it might take. But the fact is if you can build an audience with your personality that likes you because you're open and vulnerable, and they gravitate towards you, eventually and you're just consistently creating and grinding and being that, trying to perfect your craft.
Very much.
Eventually
I
you
mean,
you
every day, every
yeah,
day.
you are so consistent, and like eventually people are going to notice. That's going to catch the eye of somebody who's like, I really like this, how can I help this person, how can I help Aja put this on TV? Or maybe I'm thinking of this thing, and this project's right for her. Or it starts with like a local brand needs an ambassador, and they like your videos,
Yeah.
and so they have you. And then all of a sudden an ad agency takes notice, and then the local paper does a story on you. And then it's like that's how it
Let's speak all
feels.
of that into existence, right?
It's how it works. Like, it's how
That is
my
how it
career's
works.
worked.
And this
Yeah,
is, I mean, this
showing
is
up.
me right now. I was very excited to talk to you, Chris. I was like, he actually hosts the Panther and the Leo Libertarian podcast. So he's a professional podcaster, Chris Spangle. So, so it's really, yeah, this whole entering this whole space has been so eye-opening to how public life is, because I haven't been like this. Maybe 3 years ago, I was just working at a call center, listening to podcasts all the time because I was second shift, 3 to 11:30, 6 days a week most of the time, just kind of hustling and surviving. But my friend just said he can't ask a question.
I'm wondering that too, because I would think that we would have gotten questions by now.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we want to like restart the live so maybe people can join in. I know that's a dangerous thing, but there's probably technically something wrong because we're not getting. How about this? Everybody who's listening,
Mm-hmm.
please go check out my profile or Full Metal Ratch, Aja's profile, and we're gonna like end this live, start a new one, and see if that allows you to ask questions, because I was thinking the same thing. I was just waiting for somebody to like finally
Yeah,
get a
my
hold of
friend
you or
texted
me.
me. He's listening, and sorry to interrupt the show, folks, but we will, get right back into it.
Yep. So we'll be right back.
Right.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Upgrade your business with Shopify, home of the #1 checkout on the planet. Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%, meaning fewer carts going abandoned and more sales going cha-ching. So if you're into growing your business, get a commerce platform that's ready to sell wherever your customers are. Visit shopify.com to upgrade your selling today.
Hey guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? Oh my god, it's the coolest thing ever. It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere nationwide. I've never found a more perfect Valentine's gift. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. Seriously. So, if you're looking for a Valentine's Day gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
This episode is brought to you by Amazon. Sometimes the most painful part of getting sick is the getting better part. Waiting on hold for an appointment, sitting in crowded waiting rooms, standing in line at the pharmacy, that's painful. Amazon One Medical and Amazon Pharmacy remove those painful parts of getting better with things like 24/7 virtual visits and prescriptions delivered to your door. Thanks to Amazon Pharmacy and Amazon One Medical, healthcare just got less painful.
There's a couple things that kind of helped me in the beginning that I would recommend for you. Like, the hardest thing is, and please let us know if you leave a comment. Hopefully your friend lets us know if people can leave a comment. It's like the little question box with the triangle.
Okay.
How comfortable are you being self-promotional? Because that's a big like, I just changed my show from We Are Libertarians to the Chris Spangle Show because I feel like the word libertarian is a barrier for new people who, like, if it's libertarians and they're open to libertarians, they'll listen. But if they're not open to libertarianism and they're just like, I like that guy's Facebook posts, but I don't want to be indoctrinated. But there's this thing in my head where I'm like, I don't want to seem like a narcissist putting my own name on my show and having my own logo.
Yeah.
Like, but it's an important part. Like, have you thought about like a logo and like how promotional are you? Like, hey, I'm going to do this. And like, do you push your personal brand at all? Or are you like, I'll just keep posting these videos and discover it? Or does the question make sense?
Yeah, it does. So I like how you changed your brand. I like you changed the brand up because that opens up a whole different market. And you have a strong enough personality where you can have your own show, Chris.
Thank you.
And headline it, and it's your own thing. But so with me, I feel like Full Metal Ratchet. In my mind, when I started the handle, I wanted to I wanted to have a podcast, but I also know that I really love and am passionate about talking about movies. So before the pandemic hit, actually a couple years ago, they're still here. I have a file of. It's actually a funny story. So about 2 years ago, I told myself I was going to start a podcast, and I said, okay, I'm just going to do it. So I got a clip-on lav mic. I went out to my car, which at the time was like this Honda Civic that I swear was haunted. I crashed it. It got rebuilt. It had all these problems. The day I bought it, the thing fell out from under it. It was just all of these issues. So I was out there. I was recording in there. And I would pick one movie. I would talk for about 20 minutes about it. I would take a recap and my own little, like, quips about it. So I did maybe 11 episodes. So I thought I was doing something. I was like, okay, I'm going to bank them up and things like that. And I even hired this guy on, what's it called? Upwork.
Yeah.
Yep. And he was named Yaroslav. And he was from, where is he from? He was from Hungary. Yaroslav, shout outs. If you're listening. And he edited my show for me. He edited the audio because, it was my car. And he was the first person that ever heard it. But then my mom got sick. She's fine now. And I just never put them up. I never put them up. This was probably in 2018. They're still in that Google Drive folder.
Why didn't you put them out?
I don't know. I do not know. I think I started dating this guy.
You don't.
I started dating this guy.
Tell me why.
I started dating this stupid guy, and I fell off. And then he dumped me a couple months later, and then I was a sad kitty, and then I never got back together. And then they just sat in a sad kitty folder in Google Drive. And then one day the pandemic hit, and I was like, I guess I'll just try to be funny again.
So, but like you didn't put it up because of resistance, right? Like if I put this thing out there, then people are going to think this thing about like what was the
I don't know
what
I thought, and it wasn't even like that I was like hiding it. I was telling my mom like I'm going to put this out there. I'm going to record my podcast. I got film, and I don't know. I was telling people at work too. I don't know why my crazy butt didn't put it out there. I am wilding.
So well, they can be great there. Patreon episodes in like 2 years.
Yep, there's I did movies like I think I did one about Selena. I did one about Black Panther. I did The Big Lebowski. It was just talk-throughs. They were just movie talk-throughs. In case anybody, in my mind, I was like, okay, well, if it's a younger person, they may have not seen these movies. A lot of them were from the 90s or early 2000s, movies that I liked growing up. So those are the ones you could talk about the most. And I think that I want Full Metal Ratchet to end up being like that as well. I'm going to probably end up doing the Twitch thing because I really did find a lot of joy. And you can also legally watch the movies along with
that's
Twitch
cool.
stream. So that was a big barrier too, is I don't want to get sued by any of these companies or something by, somehow inadvertently infringing on their stuff. So I don't want to do that. But Twitch has opened up that partnership with Amazon Prime that I just saw. So you can host a watch party. And that's something that I'm probably going to try to explore soon.
That's like, they should have done that for like, and I don't know if people are able to leave it doesn't seem like people can leave a comment. I'm not sure what's going on, so I apologize.
I'm sorry, y'all.
I don't know if there was a setting or what, but you're more than welcome if you've got a question for me to email me at chris@chrisspangle.com. Or if in the future I don't know if you're comfortable giving out your info, but where can people follow you if they want to slide in the DMs?
Oh, if you want to slide in the DMs, you can slide in on Instagram at Full Metal Ratchet. You can slide in at TikTok and again, Full Metal Ratchet. Both of those. I post pretty much every day, if not at least 6 times a week. Just short content, reaction clips on funny and things. Now, my friend Miles, again, he said he sent a voice message. So I think they are coming through, but I don't know how to activate them.
I don't either. Yeah. Weird. I don't know. Maybe if Katie Comedy over there at Stereo can send me a text message or something. Because I'd love to talk to people and take their questions. I'm sure people are asking, but yeah, I'm sorry if I don't know why we can't. So anyways, how long have you been doing Full Metal Ratchet, the reaction videos?
I've been doing the reaction videos specifically probably since around May. So the blow up has been real. I haven't personally ever seen. I mean, obviously, I don't have millions and millions of followers or anything like that, but we're sitting pretty at about 94K on TikTok, which is healthy.
Yeah.
Well, I post every day. I try to find videos, like you said, that are wholesome, that are funny, that will teach you something, that show a different culture, that show life abroad. I like to see, I had one recently that was a woman that she lives in Norway, and she lives on this island. And every time she goes to walk her dogs, she has to take a rifle because bears are out there. And it looks like it's, I don't even know how cold. And she has to put on like 3 or 4 layers. And there's no electricity where she is, and the nearest town is like maybe 15 minutes away. And I'm like, bleh. And but everybody has TikTok. There's astronauts that have TikTok. I've seen Air Force. Everybody wants to show a slice of their life.
That's cool. I did not realize you were getting that many. That's awesome.
The girl from AT&T. that plays Lily. I just duetted one of her. She responded. She's very nice. Her name is Melina.
Yeah.
I think her handle is Mint Melina on TikTok. The girl that plays Lily on the AT&T commercials, she directs them as well. I saw. So that was something that was really, really tight to see. She shared. Now, somebody says, okay, one person is waiting in line. Oh, wait. No, that's
Can you click it?
It says it would change you. That's not what
yeah.
doing.
I don't want. No. Yeah, there's like a little one here, and I don't want to change it because then it'll get messed up.
Maybe they're trying to call because that's the only option. I think I did that yesterday accidentally. When, I was listening to the thing. Yeah, I did that. I'm so sorry, Chris. I'm sorry. I thought that was how it went. I don't know what I was doing. I was like,
listen, this could totally be my error. Like I'm sitting here on my high horse saying, ask me questions. And then I'm the dumbass that like didn't click the button that I didn't know existed. So that could possibly be. So we'll see. But do you spend like how much time do you spend like going through videos searching for that? Like I see you post like 3 or 4 things a day generally, and I'm just sitting here going, does she just like sit on the couch? Like I mean, I'm not gonna indict you because I scroll through Twitter. Twitter's my spot.
I get the videos from my FYP. I get them. So your FYP is the feed of videos that the algorithm curates on your TikTok page after you've been on it for a minute. You start following people and it kind of, understands what you start to like. And so I'll get them from there. I have friends, shout out to Miles, shout out to Laura. They send me videos all the time. And people send me the videos that they feel like they want me to react to. So I have help. I am on there a bit, but I actually have to be pretty disciplined with it. So I'll usually get up pretty early in the morning. I'll post some videos usually pretty early just to gauge how certain videos perform versus the other. Because I'm always trying to outthink the algorithm. It ain't gonna work, but in my mind, I think I'm doing it. So I usually get up pretty early. I scroll through. When you like a video, it kind of takes it to a saved page where you can go back later and look through. So when that helps. And then I'll usually go through and just check if it's duettable, and they have duets enabled because I don't want to duet something that the person doesn't feel comfortable sharing on another thing. I've never had, of all the reactions that I do, I've never had a person say I don't like this or be negative, not one single time, because I'm not, and that I would never put negativity out there when I'm duetting. If I don't feel a certain way about a video, I'm not gonna comment on it. That's just, a scroll past. So I haven't gotten any negative energy ever from anybody.
I wish I had your discipline and healthy attitude towards the rest of society, but I was raised by wolves. I'm like, what pissed me off today? So,
no, it's not like that. Yeah, people actually are very, very kind and are very supportive. I try to uplift women, especially, and like I said, people that are going to share, and people that you can hit up and show their culture or their lifestyle or a funny thing that they might have done. And if somebody wants to share that, I want to help them share that if I can. For example, there's a young man I just emailed recently so that I can have permission to do his video, and he did the hood version of these car reactions. So there's been a TikTok trend where this guy will go up to random people with supercars, and he'll say, "Hi, very nice car. What do you do for a living?" And usually the people are kind of taken aback, and then they'll say, some people tell the truth, and some people tell an outrageous lie, or some people just kind of drive away, So this guy decided to do the hood version. I was on the ground screaming. I could not even breathe. He was talking. There's some guy. He went up to a guy on a bike. The guy started getting aggressive. He was like, "Do you know me? Are you serious? What are you doing?" He's in New York, first of all. You don't do this. Oh, so the whole. It's not hard to have a wholesome and genuine reaction with some of the stuff you see on there, because it is hysterical.
Okay, so I was in college in 2004. I went from 2002 to 2006, and I got a 1.93 GPA. And so the only thing that
I had like around that too. I dropped out. I'm just got now back in. I'm in there now.
Same. The pandemic has allowed.
Nice.
Yeah, the pandemic has allowed me to go back to school, and I've actually been. Nice. This is my first semester back. I haven't told anybody, nobody, just because I was so afraid I was going to fail because I've got so many commitments. But I spent all Sunday doing my homework. I have an A+ in history. I have a 97 out of 100.
My classes start next month.
And then I have a B+ in Spanish, which I did not think was possible. So, yeah, so it's been a lot. It's been yeah. What's I fucking hate this in Spanish.
Watch a little Dora?
I don't. No, believe it or not, I'm not as a 37-year-old middle-aged man. I don't watch a lot of Dora the Explorer.
Wow.
So but I was big into Facebook. You had to have an IUPUI address to get it in 2004 or 5. I was an early adopter. I was number 19 million out of the 3 billion they now have. I was first on Twitter. Yes, I was really into it. And so my audience and my habits are Facebook and Twitter, and I've adopted Instagram somewhat, but Snapchat barely, TikTok not at all. And so
Snapchat barely for me.
Yeah, and so the thing about Facebook and Twitter, especially Facebook. So what I've learned on Facebook with our We Are Libertarians page, we're up to 100,000 likes. And if you post a link to a podcast that you spent hours crafting that is thoughtful, it will get 500 impressions. If you post a shit post that basically says, "I'm 100% for mandatory vacations," but people's brains read vaccine.
I saw that.
36,000 impressions because everybody's raging. The algorithm, what we learned at the end of this last election is that Facebook's algorithm, despite everything that they tell Congress, is solely there to piss your audience off. And the only way to get lift is to create outrage. It incentivizes anger and outrage. And so we actually deleted all of our admins. I'm the sole admin now, and we post the most banal stuff we can because it's better for us, it's better for our audience, it's better for society to just not utilize the asset of 100,000 likes, because the only way to utilize it properly is to harm the people in the process. Like, so we don't do it. But Facebook is a very angry place. Twitter, I like a lot better because you can kind of control, I can turn off, and I don't see a lot of the knuckleheads, but like millennials online and boomers, especially online, are angry people. Is there a thing with Gen Z where they are gravitating more towards happy content, positive content? That's why TikTok is like family and fun and dancing, and like that's my impression of it the few times I've been on it, what I see on other networks. Like, do you think that there's like a difference in Gen Z versus the millennial and boomer generation, that they're making a conscious break to go the other direction and make these social networks more positive?
I certainly hope so. Unfortunately, no. They're just as traumatized and just as angry.
They seem more nihilistic.
Like everybody else. I hate to say it. I would, but check your kids online. If you are 45 listeners, check your kids online, please, because I have some beautiful, wonderful, amazing followers, and I have, I'm sure, just craziness, just absolute craziness. You just see, first of all, the usernames, like, oh my Lord, Jesus Christ. And then you find, and there's always that little anime character. I don't know. I feel like an old woman talking about it. It's like, I don't know any of this, but I hope so. My content, if there's going to be only negativity out there, and I really started to go hard and making my own content, because I noticed that in my own household, the amount of just Politics Nation, just Rachel, just Joy Reid, just hardcore politics all day, every day, especially with my grandma. She's, 83. That's just, we've tried to address her politics TV addiction. It ain't gonna happen. So,
wait, okay, so let me stop you there. I'm sorry to cut you off. I feel like I got an appropriate answer, but so in White Land over here, now it is the anxiety around people my age is dealing with their parents and grandparents who are stuck watching Fox News, and they're angry. Is there a black grandma version of that, like with MSNBC?
Yes, there is a thick. I think about this all the time because I listen to what you say on the podcast. I was like, oh, he's talking about your older relatives being addicted to Fox News and that kind of stuff. Absolutely. Okay.
Really?
Absolutely. And I am fortunate. It's like, and my grandma is now at the age where we have to interpret certain things to her. So I mean, everything is just a headline. So, but if you forget the previous headline, then you're just like, okay, what just happened? What?
Like, give me an example of what you mean.
So she will ask very broad, kind of childlike questions now, like, why is Trump president? And how am I supposed to explain that? She'll see a headline like, he will tweeted something or other. First of all, I got to explain Twitter to her. Why does he do it? What would make him say these things? Why is he president? Who would vote for him? It's like this, it's a basic questions, but a slippery slope.
This is fascinating.
Slippery. And I'm like, watch HGTV instead.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah.
How about that?
And that's so like, that's a thing that happens with old white boomers too, where they talk in riddles. And so like the thing with the QAnon grandpa is like they they will drop little like breadcrumbs when you're talking to like one of these folks who read American Greatness or Gateway Pundit and Believe It or watch Newsmax. Like you'll get like if you see a Facebook friend or you're having a conversation with someone and they bring up child sex rings or like human trafficking, like
you're like, oh,
they're very concerned about it. Like that's a sure tell.
Yeah, you've been in that stuff.
Yeah, so like it's like there's these little trial balloons that they'll just like float out there to see how you kind of, it's like secret cult code where if you go, yes, I'm very concerned about child sex rings, and by the way, Pizzagate, oh, I'm so glad we're on this. It's like a little handshake of I'm in the QAnon cult too. So yeah, it makes total sense that like I'm such a creature of the right, and I'm such a creature of like white Republican suburbia, and that's my circles, and like so I react to that a lot.
There's not a lot of difference, honestly, that I'm finding out, because it's Black conservatism. My family is it's the same thing. It's that Midwest conservative thing, but it's just it's honestly the same root, but the tree is going in opposite directions. They think, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Because it's has to do a lot about God, a lot about, fiscal conservatism. I mean, it's just has to do with racial lines. Honestly, that's pretty much, I don't want to say that's pretty much the only thing, but so.
No, I think it's a way bigger deal than people really understand. Like in the libertarian movement right now, I don't think people understand there's a war for the soul of the movement coming, and the line is solely based on how do you view women and people of color, specifically Blacks. Like that is the dividing line, and you are either going to talk in code and dog whistles and you're on our team, or you are where I'm at, which is the classically liberal, let's figure out how all these cultures can interact and respect one another and work for prosperous reasons. And, like,
boo.
But then there's another side where it's like, no, I want freedom because I want to do whatever I want. And I don't care about anybody else but me. Fuck you. I'm going to get mine. Like, that's the, and I don't think that dividing line is a lot different than it is in the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, the church. Like, you pick your institution. Like, race and misogyny are like the two things that deserve to be picked at, because there's something that is there that has to be talked about that people want to avoid, and it's uncomfortable. And
I'm sure our listeners are just like, really?
No,
but I mean, it's in.
Aja,
I mean, these conversations.
It's like Miss Pat. Fuck these listeners.
Right, exactly. But it's so true. And then I'm just trying to, on a very basic level, make people happy, entertain people. I know that's in my soul. I know that's in my spirit. I know that that's something that I'm meant to do. My father, he tried to enter the comedy space when he was younger man, and I think it just didn't work for him. He didn't find his medium. He didn't take his chance. And this is something that I think I have to do for us. He's still around. Oh my God, he worked at FedEx. He's around.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, this is something that I know that I'm supposed to do. I have to find. I just know right now we're still in the experimental phase, and this is the most exciting phase. This is where it doesn't really matter if somebody doesn't like it. There's not a lot on the line. I don't have a huge corporation backing me where it's like, okay, is this going to fail? It's still what's sticking. At some point I do want to make a digital short, because I know that's, that's how Issa Rae started. She started out with this, the basis for the show Insecure was actually a web series called Awkward Black Girl. And I think she was doing it back in 2015, 14 maybe. And she had, I think, Pharrell backing her up, but she, put it online. She put it on YouTube, and now she's on HBO. So
But that's the
I,
thing. See, that's what I'm
yeah,
saying. Like, you just create, you be consistent, you're gonna
yeah,
get better. It's like exercise. The more you, like, I met Miss Pat's agent in Montreal, and he was like, well, I was really nervous when she said she found some random white guy to do a podcast with in Indianapolis. But then, like, I listened to you, and you don't have verbal crutches. You don't say, you have structure. Like, what have you been doing? And I go, I've literally done tens of thousands of broadcast hours and productions. And, like, I've just been working with nobody noticing me, nobody paying attention to me. And then
just
when I
hustling,
got
grinding.
opportunities, I was prepared to
Yep.
perform because I had consistently done the work for nobody, or for 10 people. Then it was 50 people. Then it was 100 people. Then it was 1,000 people, and like, you need that time when you're performing for nobody to get good at what you're doing, to find your voice, to understand what you're good at, what you're not good at, to lose those little, like, kick the rust off, and it's a constant continual practice. And then, just like that story that you just told, like, you will find a little bit of local success, and then some circles a little beyond that, and then national, and then somebody with some real clout, and then somebody with even more clout, and somebody with money. It's like, the crazy cool thing about digital media is that anybody can start something, and maybe you don't go anywhere. Maybe it doesn't do anything. Maybe it's like for me, We Are Libertarians over 9 years has brought me every great friend, every great party, like half the girls, including my great girlfriend now, like,
Aww.
I met because of it. Like, it's built this awesome, fun community around me. It's given me a purpose. It's like, I spend probably 10, 20 hours a week on it, but it doesn't feel like work because it's my passion. Like, and there are times where you want to quit. There's times where you don't want to do it. There's times where you want to slack off. There's times, where you don't feel like you're good enough to do it. You're, everybody else is doing something different, and you're discordant from the rest of the people in your space. Like, there's always going to be
mean on the internet.
There's always some reason to quit, or there's always some reason not to start. But the path to success with digital media, the barrier to entry is so low. Barstool Sports is $1 billion company, and it started with Dave Portnoy talking into the video app on his phone and doing vertical videos. And he just got good at it, and people went, man, I love this guy. I love this guy. I love this guy. And then all of a sudden he got money. It's like, so just keep grinding. Like, that's the thing that I always, when people ask me, like, how do I get to, this guy wrote me and he's like, how do I get on the We Are Libertarians network? Can you connect me with the guy? Like, how'd you get in touch with them? And I was like, I created it. And he's like, what? It's like, yeah, I've just been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
And it turned into something that I never expected I would ever make money with. I never thought it'd bring me opportunities. It was just fun, and that's, like, I'm proud of you for really, like, going, okay, I'm just going to stick with this. I'm going to get better. I'm going to let it happen. I'm not going to try and force anything. I would say, like, push yourself out of your comfort zone, like, brand yourself even more, like, maybe get, like, a logo, or think about a Wix website, or, like, start thinking about platform, because you clearly have talent. You clearly have, like, people like you. You have a great personality. You have a good concept. Like, the next, like, phase that I went through to get it, like, that I would recommend is, like, build a website, get an email list, start building out tentacles, like, start looking bigger than you are in some ways. Like, everybody, get that Twitter account locked down. Like, start kind of putting your content on your own website. Like, so think about, if somebody just kind of runs across you and does a Google search on you, what are they going to find? Is there a bio? Do you have a headshot? Is there a logo? Like, do you look bigger than you are? Because like, in your mind, you're sitting here going, I'm just enjoying talking to the camera. I'm having fun. Like, it seemed a little obscene for me to get a logo and set my own website up. But, like, that's the next step for you, is just pushing past that feeling of, like, Yeah, it seems a little extra, but you just have to be extra. I learned it from my mentor Abdul. Like you have to tell people you're important until they believe it.
Amen to
And
that. Okay.
it
All
is
right.
not easy, and it is difficult, but like, you're at a phase where you've got a proven concept and an audience, a big audience behind you. Now start thinking about like you're building on other people's platforms. Do you have a little connection that if for some reason you were taken off of TikTok, can they Google you and find you? That's
Okay.
always the thing that I'm thinking about, and
Like
like
off
that's the next
platform.
step. Like Wix, super cheap, super easy.
Okay, so I'm writing this down literally. I'm drinking like wine and writing this down. Okay, so I am a podcaster right now. Look at this.
You are.
But yeah,
That's the
I'm
thing. Like,
thinking, I
in
love this. This is what I want to do. This is really what I was made to do, Chris.
yeah, then say it out loud, own it. Like even in the promotion, you're like, this professional podcaster is going to tell an amateur podcast. Yeah, you are an amateur, but you are a
Amateur.
broadcaster. You
Yes, ma'am.
are a podcaster. You
Together.
belong. Just tell yourself you belong until you believe it, and then other people will follow along.
That's what's up. Follow in line. So my friend he texted me a question. He says,
Mm-hmm.
do you know the process to get verified?
No, I'm not verified. Like Miss Pat's not even verified on Twitter for some weird reason. Like,
Well, it's probably coming. Maybe her agent has to do that. Maybe that has to do with some kind of agency or having some kind of connection to the people at the app.
pretty much. Like, you pretty much have to have somebody with an inside route now because they've locked on all these platforms. They've locked it down. And like, I think I'm verified here on Stereo because I had an in. I'm verified on Minds. I'm verified on Parler. Because I'm at a level where I can talk to the head of Minds and Parler, and and they're kind of
Yeah.
like, we
You
want
on
people on this
Parler?
platform. Yeah, like spread my Tea Party today. Like, but like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, you can apply on Instagram to be verified, but they were like, who are you? You can't come in.
Right. Like, that's not gonna. Well, I mean,
Yeah,
that's probably just comes with time and
exactly.
I qualified for a TikTok shirt. So
I guess
we're
here's how I'd
doing
answer
good.
that question. Everybody starts wanting social proof. Social proof is if Aja is standing, to not be narcissistic, if Aja's standing in the middle of a circle of people, and then those circle of people around her start talking about Aja, it's the ring outside of her that goes, Aja who? Oh wow, let me check this out. And then the next ring, and then the next ring, and so the more people that talk about a person, like, research the concept of social proof. That's the whole goal of anybody going into creative work is you love the work, you want to make a living at it, but you also kind of want the popularity that comes with it for whatever reason.
Oh yeah.
And they're the best way to get social proof, to get people talking about your thing, be it a piece of art, a podcast, a magazine, a social media brand like Aja's, is to do really exceptional work, work really hard at it, read a bunch of books, watch videos, take classes on that skill, like, get really ridiculously good at it. And the social proof and the verification and the opportunities and the eyeballs comes with loving the craft. Like, if you show up to do stand-up comedy and you're there as an open micer pretending you're a headliner, you're way too far ahead of yourself.
Right. Heard that story. Yes, sir.
Yeah, like, people, like, you have to be an open micer and then a middle, and then you can headline, and then you have to headline, and it's about 8 to 12 years before people really ever break through to get known in comedy on a Letterman, or this is back in the day, but like, it's not much different now. Like, it takes 8 to 12 years on average for a stand-up comedian to like really make a good living as a stand-up. And that you're only going to do 8 to 12 years of an activity for almost no pay. Like, if you like, I loved radio. I worked for $250 a week for 4 years. And the middle of the 2008 recession, like that's a ridiculously small amount of money.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And I
I
worked 3
barely make
jobs.
now, I may barely make more now. I'm at a, elevator company. I hustle and
Yeah.
grind, but I love my job. But we love that insurance that comes with it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
I
I
mean,
think that's what I'm taking away from Miss Pat as well. Is like, get your insurance. I love
yes.
healthcare.
Yeah, it's right. Healthcare is important. Revenue
Healthcare is
can come
awesome.
elsewhere. But that's the thing. Like, you're going to have to love what you do, and you're going to have to be passionate about engaging that day in, day out, and making it a practice. Writing political commentary, writing outlines for my podcast is my greatest passion. I work to get done with work, to sit down at this desk I'm sitting at, to write papers, to write outlines, to write book reviews, to read about political philosophy, history. Like, everything I do is for that passion, and all that comes out in the Chris Spangle show. Like, that's my passion, and everything is,
you can tell.
yeah, exactly. And that passion comes through. And so you have to love what you do. If you're going into it thinking, I'm going to make $1 million, I'm going to have 10 million followers, I'm going to get the swipe up feature on Instagram, I'm going to get verified, you're just don't even, like, because you don't, like, you can tell Aja respects her audience, even if her audience were 20 people when it was
Very
20
much
people.
so. It was 20
tell.
people, I feel like, last week. I don't know where all these other people came from.
I can tell you that Aja, and that never goes away, because you deeply love and respect your audience. And that's
I
the
do.
thing
I
that matters
appreciate
the most.
every single person that follows me. I truly, truly do. I want everyone to be happy and comfortable. Like I said, I started adding the captions because I didn't even think, but somebody DM'd me and said, hey, would you consider, adding captions to your videos for people that can't hear? And I was like, oh, absolutely. So that's what we're doing. Retro reactions, captions, things like that. We're always trying to evolve.
And here's my final point. If you don't want to start anything and you love a project, message them. Like, that person that messaged you made you better. And I can tell you, like, there have been times where especially a couple years ago, where I literally was, like, before I met Miss Pat, I was, and I hadn't started working with this guy, Robert, on Leaders and Legends. And, like, those 2 projects helped me kind of rediscover my passion for my own podcast. And I was ready to close it down. But I got this beautiful note from a listener who said that my podcast had, like, made his life better, and I had made him a better father. And, like, I'm almost going to choke. Like, that gave me 3 more months. And by the end of that 3 more months, I was out of my slump. Like, if you are an audience member and you love something, or you appreciate someone's creative work, write them a note, because that person's probably not making any money. They're probably doing it.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
And
like,
I think people think the TikTok Creator Fund as well. Sorry to cut you off. I'm so sorry.
No, go ahead.
But I think people think the TikTok Creator Fund is also something. I was in it. I've been in like I said, I have 94K. I've had videos that reach, about 6 million views and things. I made total $97. So you are not going to get rich on TikTok.
You are loaded now. No, you're not. That's the thing. Like, and that's the sucky part, is you have to do, like, you're not going to make money on your email. You're not going to make money on your website. You're not going to make money on your Twitter. You're not going to make money on your TikTok.
Not immediately. Unless
but collectively,
some people feel bad for you or something like that. That gentleman with the ocean spray that was skateboarding, his life was changed. Now he made some money. He just bought a $300,000 house. So
you're gonna get to the point, though, where somebody's gonna go, and this happened with me. Like, I got a $400 check in the mail in 2015 from Phyllis Klosinski, and Phyllis goes, "Oh, I love Phyllis." She and I became great friends after that, because Phyllis, it was 2014, 2015, and we always jokingly call it the Phyllis Klosinski Studios. That $400 was the first time I realized that I created something of value that other people were willing to give value for. And when I put up my Patreon, it took me 2 more years to convince myself of that lesson. And I finally put up a Patreon after listeners were writing going, how do I give you money? And we got $1,000 a month in a week because we had 5 years of goodwill built up in our audience.
Wow.
And the
we ain't there
best,
yet, y'all.
dude, the best way to create community was to give people an opportunity to invest in creating that community along with you. And that was the moment We Are Libertarians became legit, was that moment, because all those people started to like really want to get engaged with it. But it took 3 to 5 years to get to that point where people will write you, Aja, and go, I love what you do. How can I support your work? Do you have a Patreon? And that's when set that shit up. Start promoting that immediately. Because then you've got something that like people would miss if it went away, and they want to make sure it doesn't, And so
yeah.
And you could even at this point with that kind of audience, you could think about it and say, I've got these ideas. It's going to take this amount of money. I'd love if you supported me on Patreon so I can create these ideas. And I bet you'd reach your goals. I really do.
Wow. I hope so. I mean, I have a clearer vision of what I can do with my, I guess, talent. I still say that with a giggle because it's still,
I know.
But, with my talent, I have goals and I feel like I can actually attain them, which is a wild idea. But you know what? I don't try. I'm always alone. I'm an only child. I have a lot of singular solo energy, I guess. So I don't have a lot of outside influence or a lot of negativity unless it's myself. So
right.
I'm working on, taking away a lot of those self, deprecating barriers that, you just give yourself. I've been getting better, I guess, with the pandemic and knowing that I'm alone right now, and that's okay, being okay with being solo, being okay with yourself, and having to really accept myself, be okay with being on camera without makeup, vulnerable, looking any kind of way, because you've seen me be dolled up and you've also seen me be looking like I just woke up, with sometimes I do. And that's why I want Ratchet Reactions to be that. Just, hey, we just woke up. All right, let's watch these TikToks.
I like
because
that
people
casual
watch
feel
TikToks
to it
all the time,
Yeah, like I feel like it makes you and I, like the friendship, it builds a friendship, because like, wow, she's willing to like come on camera. There's like, I never know which costume you're going to be. Like, I don't know how other way to, like, it's funny because, there's like, it's funny you say that, because I've noticed it and I appreciate that, because it's like, all right, this is just, she's chill and she's relaxed and she doesn't take herself too seriously, and I think that lends to it. And I think that if you were sitting there starting out, you'd be like, I've got to have this looking perfect. I've got to have this perfect set. I've got to have this.
Nope.
Like, I've got to have that. And I just think that is a barrier. That is a great way to keep yourself from starting. And like, so I'll give you the last word, but my final point is like, the only thing that's going to stop you from creating a successful podcast or marriage or a successful business or whatever is you. You listener, me, Aja, like,
yeah,
that is what's going to prevent you from achieving things that you think aren't possible. And once you let go of that, a great book is The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown, or Nathaniel Branden's 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem. Those 2 books helped me 5 years ago really push past my BS, along with Scary Close.
Can you say the first one again?
Yep, it is The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown.
Gifts of Imperfection. Okay.
That is about being comfortable with your own flaws. Scary Close was about codependency and relationships and like the masks that we all put on. Like, if you're the type of person who's like, I'm different in this circle than I am in this circle, that's a great book. And then the last book is The 6 Pillars of Self-Esteem by Nathaniel Branden. And that's like the science of self-esteem and how to get over yourself, and those 3 books like will change a person's entire creative work, their business, their marriage, their relationship with their kids. Those 3 books really can change a person and help them get past it. And like, you can make excuses for why you shouldn't put yourself out in the world, be it for dating, for podcasting, for writing, for that job opportunity that you want.
Yep.
But it's bullshit. You're the only thing stopping you,
So
and
true.
you're going to look back and regret it I wish I had not waited until 33 to go do that 4 years of therapy and work on myself and get to where I'm at. Like, I wasted everyone's time until 34, including my own life, and I'm like, I wish I had worked out sooner. I wish I had dated sooner. I wish I'd done all these things instead of keeping myself in bubble wrap,
Right.
and it's
Same.
such Aja, it's a crappy way to live. So with that, you get the last word and respond to that, and then also plug yourself, please.
All right. I'd like to also recommend a book, Curtis 50 Cent Jackson, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. Learn from a narcissist.
Is that learn from is that like a title?
No, I mean that's my interpretation of it. It's called Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter. I got it from the library. My mom works for the library, so sometimes I'll just pick a random book when I'm going to see her at work. And there's a reason he got shot. Just throwing that out there. But he has such an extreme viewpoint that it actually does motivate you, because you're like, okay, well, all right. I mean, because the circumstances that he grew up in were so extreme. Again, with Miss Pat, the circumstances that they grew up in were so extreme that you feel humbled and you feel privileged. And even as a Black woman, I feel the privileges that I have. And I can see that. I'm more self-aware. Same with the therapy. Let's go. And I know that this is what I'm supposed to be doing. And I hope that people listening today are motivated and informed. And I hope that you strive to find your voice, because right now you survived a pandemic, literally something that only happens every 100 years. And that has been the catalyst for so many great and amazing things. It really has. So if you'd like to follow me, I am on TikTok at Full Metal Ratchet. I'm on Instagram also at Full Metal Ratchet. I post pretty much every day, and we do, again, reaction videos to your favorite TikTok content. So if you are on TikTok yourself, follow me and send me videos, or you can tag me in videos that you think are funny and you want me to react to. And thank you, Mr. Chris. Oh my gosh.
It was great to talk to you.
90 minutes.
I know. I totally want to do this again too. So I definitely want to talk with you again in the future. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, this was amazing. I'm going to tell literally everyone.
And then you can follow all my projects. Just go to chris-spangle.com. That'll take you to a bunch of links, and you can follow the Chris Spangle Show, the Pat Down, Bob and Tom. Now here, all the different things that I do.
All the things.
Go check that out. Go read me at chris-spangle.com. So chris-spangle.com is like the collector. So go check that out. Thanks so much. Thank you so much, Aja. It was so great talking to you.
Oh, you too, Chris. Thank you so much.
Please go subscribe to Aja. Go subscribe to Full Metal Ratchet on all these platforms here on Stereo. Subscribe to me on Stereo. Absolutely. And catch us next time we go live. Thanks so much. Right. Have a great night.
All right. Bye, Chris. Bye, everyone.
Bye.